Okay, we're going to start demand and supply, and we'll do demand first, then we'll do supply, um, and then we will put supply and demand together. Um, these are really important notes. These are really important lectures. If there is something that you don't understand, it is critical that you ask me these questions because we've got 3 chapters. We're going to spend weeks on this. Going to be a lot of points, and this can be a little confusing. Excuse me. So um, let's start out with the definition of demand. Demand is your willingness and ability to purchase goods and services at all possible prices for a specific period of time. So in order to have a demand for something, you have to be willing to purchase it. There are lots of things that I can afford um, that I don't want, so I don't have a demand for them. The first thing that comes to mind is I hate coconut. So if I wanted a candy bar, the last thing I would buy is like a Mounds or an Almond Joy, anything that with coconut in it. So I have enough money that I could afford to buy one of those candy bars, but I'm not willing to purchase it, so I don't have a demand for it. The second thing from the definition that you need to know is you have to be able to purchase it. I think I've talked about before, I would really love to have a brand new convertible Jaguar, a beautiful green color with a nice camel, not camo, camel colored interior. I would love to have those things are like $90,000 or $100,000. There's no way I can afford one. So although I would be willing to buy one, I am not able. So once again, it's something I would like, but I don't have a demand for it. And then what we're doing is we're going to look at all the possible prices. Demand is not just one price and one quantity. It is all the possible prices. So if I'm sitting down and I'm looking at my demand for pizza, I'm going to look at all of the various prices that they could sell me pizza for, and then I would figure out, based on that price, what is the quantity that I'm willing to purchase. So it is plural. Anytime you see we're talking about a range of prices and quantities and your willingness ability, we were talking about your demand. And the last thing we're looking at is a specific period of time. Obviously, conditions will change, and I'll give you actually a term that goes along with what these conditions are that change. So if we're looking at your demand for lunch for a week, we can look at your willingness, your ability at all the possible prices of lunches for a week. Or we can look at your demand for cars, well, that's a bad example, but for food over a specific period of time. Quantity demanded. This is where you're going to get confused because demand and quantity demanded are two very, very different things. When we're looking at demand, we're looking at all of the prices. When we're looking at quantity, we're looking at when I give you a specific price, what is that able to purchase at that specific price? So demand is all of the possible prices. Quantity demanded is one specific quantity at one specific price. The law of demand. What the law of demand says is as your price goes up, quantity demanded is going to go down. And notice I said quantity. I did not say demand because they are two different things. So as your price goes up, your quantity demanded is going to go down, and as price goes down, your quantity demanded is going to go up. And this makes sense. Do you buy more when they raise the price or when they lower the price? As prices come down, we buy more. As prices go up, we buy less. And there's 3 reasons why the law of demand is true. And the first one is called the substitution effect. Use tacos and pizza, for example. Let's say these are substitutes, and if you don't think so, just play along. So I'm going to tell you that tacos and pizza are substitutes. So if you're going out to lunch one day and you see that the price of tacos has gone up, you'll buy something, whatever you think its substitute is. If the price of tacos comes down, you will buy it as opposed to its substitute. The second reason why the law of demand is true is called the income effect, but you have to be careful because this really has nothing to do with your income, but it has to do with buying or purchasing power of the income that you already have. If you are going and you are wanting to buy blue jeans, and you get there and you have $20 in your pocket and blue jeans are $40, then obviously you're not going to be able to buy them. But what if you go and they're on sale for $10? Then you're going to actually be able to buy 2 pair. So when prices come down, it's kind of like that bargain bin of CDs or DVDs at Walmart, I kind of think. You know, at the regular price at $21, I may not even have a demand because I think that's too high. But what happens when I go over to those bins where they're selling CDs and DVDs for $5 a piece? If I have 20 bucks, and let's take tax out of the equation, I could purchase 4 CDs with my $20 as opposed to 1. So as prices come down, your buying power. So because of the income effect, when prices go down, you can buy more. When prices go back up, you can buy less. And the third one is the law of diminishing marginal utility. And I'm actually going to put a small video with this so that you can watch that goes in, gives another explanation of the law of diminishing marginal utility. Diminishing means decreasing. We know that marginal means additional, and we talked briefly about utility, and utility meaning satisfaction. So as you consume additional units of a good, and everything else is, every other thing is remaining constant. We're not changing anything else, but all we're doing is consuming additional units of a good. The satisfaction you get from the next unit typically is less than the one before. So when I go shopping for shoes, I buy the first pair and it's satisfying. So how do they get me to buy the next pair? They actually have to lower the price. So that BOGO, buy one, oh my goodness, I spelled that wrong. Buy one, get one free. Sorry about that. The buy one, get one free. That's how they get you to do that. When you see sales like that, buying the first sweater is satisfying. Buying the first pizza, how do they, you know, Pizza Hut had an advertisement there for a while to get you to buy another pizza. You bought the first one at regular price. The second one you bought at $4. And so they're still making money off that, but they're getting you to consume additional units. So we're going to look at a demand schedule and a demand curve. I'm going to give you some definitions first and then we'll actually look at it. So what a demand schedule is just a list of all the possible prices and quantities that you are willing and able to purchase. And then we're going to take that information and we're actually going to graph it. And so demand curve is just the graphic illustration of the demand schedule. Because of the law of demand, there is an inverse or an opposite relationship between price and quantity. So we're going to see that when we draw the curve, because the curve is going to slope down and to the right, once again, because of the law of demand and this inverse relationship between price and quantity. You have to remember, and obviously I have this in all caps, so this is extremely important. A change in price does not change your demand. A change in price is going to change your quantity demanded. Obviously, demand will change, but it is not a change in price that changes that, and we'll actually look at that for your next set of notes. So what I have here on the left-hand side is a demand schedule, and this is your demand for apples. So we are going to assume that you are willing and able to buy apples at all of these different prices. So if apples are, we're going to say 5 cents, you're willing to buy 30 apples. If the price goes up to 10 cents, notice what happens. Your quantity demanded goes down, not your demand. The whole entire schedule is your willingness and ability at all possible prices of apples for a specific period of time. So the whole entire schedule is your demand. The whole entire curve, once we plot that, is your demand. So as we change prices, on the right-hand side, that's the quantity that's going to change. So that's a list of, at 10 cents, your quantity demanded is 25. At a price of 15 cents, your quantity demanded is 22. And as the price goes down, once you get to 40 cents, your quantity demanded of apples is only 5. And so what we're going to do is we are going to take this information, and I'm sorry the numbers over here aren't real clear, but make sure you draw this graph in your notes. And what's going to happen is we are going to put P, or price, on the vertical, and quantity is going to go on the horizontal. And we are going to then, this zero, or this point is always 0, and then we're just going to increase our prices. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. And then our quantity, we're going to go across here. 5, this looks like 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 once again. So then we're just going to plot these points on this curve. At 5 cents, here's 5 cents, we'll come over to 30 and plot our point. At 10 cents, we'll come over and plot a point. At 15 cents, we'll come over and plot a point, and then so forth and so on till we take all the information from the schedule and we have points. And then what we do is we connect the dots. So once again, we can see the whole entire curve is your demand. This is your willingness and ability at all the possible prices. Notice the curve, because of the higher prices, the higher the price, the lower the quantity. As the price starts to come down, your demand curve shifts. The points go out and away from zero. So the lower the price, the more quantity that we want. So these are your quantity demanded. The points, the specific quantities at a specific price are your quantities demanded. The whole entire curve is your demand. Once we connect the dots, notice that our curve is downward sloping, once again because of the law of demand.